Next thing, it feels like I've ridden with Dad downtown, but he gets going pretty fast, and there's a lot of snow. And he kind of goes up on the side of a hill of snow that's been piled there. So I pop up out of the car, and I end up on the top of the snow, maybe slide down. And Dad's gone on. He hasn't quite noticed that I popped out of the car. So he's gone on down around the corner. I go looking for him, but I'm not sure where he's gone. I go around the service station. Then it feels like I go to the event that we're all going to, which is maybe at a church where they're serving food. And again, there's a lot of people. So when I get there, I tuck my purse around this little corner into a little cupboard so then I can go on about noticing the food they're gathering and all the people that are around. And then I seem to go across the street, and my sister and my niece and some other people are at a restaurant, and I look at what they're being served. Meanwhile, it feels like Dad has taken off. He's forgotten he's supposed to give me a ride back home. I've gone over to this building that's actually like a treatment center building. I've gone to look in there, and I remember I'm standing between two elevators, and the elevator doors open, and there's two people on one side, and there's some doctors talking right by me that have come out of a room. And they've opened up a door, and I can see the people in there must be getting detoxed or something, because I can smell a whiff of marijuana or something. And there's some people on the floor. That must be where people come in when they need to get detoxed. Then the doctors have left, and I'm not sure which elevator to take, the one on the right or the one on the left. Well, then the one on the left arrives first, and I get in. There's just one person in there, and I push the button, and the elevator does this very weird trip up. You feel like it actually is going, I don't know, not in a straight line, but it does kind of a swirl going up. It goes way up to like the 9th floor or something. And then the door opens, and a gal gets out that I realize must have been a patient. She was even laying on the floor when she talked with me. And she goes in somewhere, and I look around. Maybe I even talk to some people on that floor. For some reason, I feel like I had my purse, my phone, or something with me, and she took it. So, and I look, and there may even be an exit on the 9th floor, but I realize I need to go back down to the ground floor. And even though I'm dubious about it, I think I take the same elevator down. I'm looking around to see if I can do something about locating my purse, because even though she took something, I remember that I'd actually put the purse behind a cupboard, so I went and I found that. Then it felt like I'd lost my phone, but then I find my phone in my pocket. And I go to see where my sister was at the restaurant, and I realized they'd eaten these kind of interesting salads. And I have phoned my niece or my dad to come and pick me up again from the house. But I've decided before I go there, I'm going to take one of these salads up with me, and I'm having someone prepare that salad, I think, before I leave.
The dream has all kinds of things that have to be sorted out to try to bring into some sort of focus. So the whole thing has to do, again, with discrimination and how you place your energy and your attention in terms of your overall center of gravity to things. And maybe the best way of describing it is that you have to have your attention in such a way so that it doesn't get bifurcated by this, that, and the other around you. And the purpose of a dream like this is to get you to recognize that you actually have to hold on and feel the vibration and not lose that vibration as you go about and you do things. Otherwise, you end up identifying with the activities that you're doing. And when you end up identifying with the activities that you do, then you don't do other things that you would ordinarily be able to do and would kind of do as mannerisms and actions and conduct that you still feel you have a responsibility towards. So what you're doing is you're talking about multiple levels of veiling yourself. In other words, it starts off where you have a responsibility towards your dad in some sense. The fact that you are putting your focus towards a responsibility towards your dad is also a deviation or bifurcation of the energy from a greater vibration of an overallness that you can feel. But you choose to do that. You choose to take on that responsibility, even though it is a bifurcation from the one singular note or whatever that you could be experiencing. You then go into further deviations of yourself when you have all of this other activity and mayhem going on that then occupies, takes up your attention. So that now even your responsibility towards your dad is turned into another kind of mayhem because all of this other veils you again and gets in the road in terms of grabbing your attention. So that whatever was important about how you were aiming your overall focus of beingness has gotten disarrayed yet again. So what you're dealing with, what the purpose of the dream is doing, is healing you on an energetic level in terms of the fact that you are seeing as you're dreaming yourself having this overall quality of a nature that is getting diffused by not being able to hold on to something that keeps it stabilized in terms of what is important. You're in a human body, so you're going to be aiming your attention in an overall sense, in some fashion or another. But you just need to take note on how that comes with a price. And in your particular case, you started with something that, for all intents and purposes, in terms of evaluating things, you would say, okay, this is important to me in terms of how I have my overall attention. But you weren't able to sustain or maintain that very well because you allowed yourself to be noodled out even further by other little things that were going on until eventually you're so diffused that the importance and meaningfulness of how you're using your overall vibration has gotten dissipated. And as a consequence, your ability to correlate and relate to yourself is getting lost with each phase. In other words, because you feel a linkage and a connection to your father, the use of energy in that particular way still can have a way of enhancing or feeding and is not that far astray so that you can't do both. In other words, it's like the expression, the head in the clouds and feet on the ground. But feet on the ground in what regard? You still have to have the head in the heavens, so to speak, or the linkage and connection to something that you know is important then as you function in life, so that you don't end up all dissipated. The dream also is a precursor to developing a skill set for magic and changing things. And as the teacher would say, most people can't really do much damage because their energetic is not refined to the point where it focuses upon being able to shift or to change things. And you had your focus deviated off to one side more than you realized. And you can monitor all of this. In other words, you feel this, but you're doing it in an overall way. I look at it specifically, but you have to look at it overall. How is it that you are able to carry the overall and at the same time maintain that connection? It's a little bit how seed thoughts work. You can have a singular thought that seems harmless in and of itself, that can rise up from the ethers inside yourself and be fairly attenuated and close to you holding a center with yourself. But then as you start to entertain the thought, the danger in terms of discrimination is then that thought leads to this, and that, and that, and that, and pretty soon you've lost track of the original place that you've started from. A person that's really diffused can't even carry and hold and maintain a conversation. They just drift every which way. They flip-flop every which way because they're not being true to some listening center inside of themselves. So what you're doing is you've created this whole slide, energetic slide down. And actually, this is a step back. What you're doing is a step back in order to see how something goes forward. What you're doing is actually going backwards inside yourself. You actually know better than this, but you're revisiting it as if it is an old dormant pattern in your nature. You're revisiting it so that you can then see, well, this is why I no longer do it this way. I do know where I want to place my attention. But it's useful to see how you look when you get completely diffused so that you can realize and recognize that when you do place your attention, however you do that in an overall area of responsibility, you are making a sacrifice. It does run you full-fledged into sacrificing. In other words, there is a way of holding yourself in an overallness that does nothing. But we don't live in a world that does nothing. We live in a world in the outer. You then have to somehow do both. You have to maintain both places. If you don't maintain both places, then the value and the orientation that has the discriminating feature inside of you, which is that vibration, gets diffused to the point where all kinds of mayhem occurs around you.